Cannabis doesn't just mess with your mind, it opens portals. But not every portal is safe. Some lead to light, others to illusion. For thousands of years, mystics, shamans, and spiritual seekers treated cannabis like a sacred key, a bridge between worlds. Now, it's become background noise for Netflix. So let me ask you something. Are we using this plant to awaken or to avoid? Because most people are getting it wrong, and they don't even know it. They're chasing peace and landing in confusion. They're talking to spirits, but not listening to themselves. But here's the secret the ancients knew, one we've almost completely forgotten. And once you see it, you won't look at this plant the same way again. But first, you ever wonder what cannabis used to be before it became something people used to zone out on the couch? Because long before dispensaries, before grinders, glass pipes, and lighters, this plant wasn't for chilling. It was for calling gods. Let's go back, way back. In ancient India, cannabis was considered one of the 5 sacred plants. Not a drug, a divine protector. The bang they drank during festivals wasn't just a party favor, it was a liquid prayer, a way to honor Shiva, the great meditating god who lives beyond ego, beyond illusion. It wasn't about getting high, it was about getting closer to truth. In Siberia, shamans would gather in sacred tents and burn cannabis as an offering. Smoke rose through the roof like a message, carried to the sky. They didn't see it as getting lit. They saw it as a ladder, a way to climb between worlds and speak with the spirits of the ancestors. Now let's shift to the east. In Taoist alchemy, cannabis was said to open dream gates, tools for lucid journeys through the cosmos. Not for escape, but to explore deeper patterns of reality beyond the physical. Across the seas, in Afro-spiritual traditions and early Caribbean rites, cannabis was burned as an offering, a bridge to the spirit realm, used carefully, reverently, always with intention. And of course, the Rastafari. To them, cannabis is not a drug. It's the holy herb. They use it to reason, to talk deeply, to listen to the voice of Jah, and to meditate on divine truths. They light up not to escape the world, but to confront it with clarity. But here's the thing most people miss. Why did these rituals actually work? Why did these cultures, so far apart, reach for this same plant and report such similar breakthroughs? It's not what you think, because it was never about running from reality. It was about stepping deeper into it. These weren't highs, they were initiations. So here's where it gets wild. When you inhale cannabis, especially in a sacred space, something switches on inside you. Not just chemically, energetically. THC lights up the parts of your brain that feel like soul. It's like a key. But here's the question you have to ask. What door are you unlocking? Because this isn't just about getting a buzz. Time slows down, colors shift, your thoughts start bending in ways that feel ancient. Everything feels deeper, truer, like you've slipped into a layer of reality most people never touch. But let's pause for a second. That feeling, that softness, that stillness, that cosmic awe, it's not always what it seems. Because cannabis doesn't give you peace. It gives you the illusion of peace. An illusion can feel just like truth. That's what makes it so powerful and so dangerous. Think of cannabis like a tuning fork. You strike it, and it hums, right? It aligns you with something. But here's the real question. What exactly are you tuning to? Your highest self? Old pain you haven't healed? Or just a loop that feels spiritual, but keeps you stuck? And here's the catch, this piece can trick you, can wrap around you like a warm blanket, while underneath nothing's really changed. No growth, no awakening, just stillness. Ever felt that kind of high? Not just stoned, but spaced out in a way that felt like something deeper? Drop a like if you know the vibe and subscribe. Let's be real. Not every high feels like peace. Sometimes it feels like pressure. Your heart races, your chest tightens, old memories crawl up from the basement, and suddenly you're spiraling, no idea why. Sound familiar? That's not a bad trip. That's your shadow showing up. Cannabis doesn't just soften your thoughts, pulls back the mask. Carl Jung said it best. It strips the persona, meaning it removes the version of you that plays it cool, the version you show the world. And underneath, that's where it gets raw. Because what comes up isn't random. It's the truth trying to surface. That anxiety, that paranoia, that weird loop of overthinking, those are spiritual mirrors. And they're showing you the parts of yourself you've been running from. So let me ask you something. Are you really ready to meet the version of you that hides behind the smoke? Because here's what they don't put on the label. When you use cannabis without grounding, without intention, you're not just opening your mind, you're opening your gates. And as Dion Fortune warned, expansion without protection invites invasion. Translation: you light up without purpose. And you're not just welcoming insights, you're inviting noise, distraction, even darker energies. This isn't fear, it's fact. Used carelessly, this plant becomes more than a mirror. It becomes a mask, one you get lost behind. But used with reverence, that's when the real work begins. Let's pull back the curtain on something no one wants to talk about. There's a massive difference between using cannabis and honoring it. Ancient seekers didn't just light up to relax. They approached it like a ceremony. They set intentions, prayed, cleaned the space, asked the plant for guidance, then sat in silence. That was sacred use. Now let's fast forward to today. You light up, scroll through TikTok, DoorDash some snacks, binge a show. Forget the intention you never set. Let's be honest. We've gone from calling gods through smoke to scrolling TikTok with a vape pen. Really? The plant that once opened cosmic doors is now background noise for memes and microwave pizza. The gods were once called through smoke. Now the smoke is filtered through Netflix. And hey, no judgment. We've all been there. But if you're watching this, it means something in you wants more. You're not here for just another high. You're here for something deeper. So let's talk about what happens when you use this plant without reverence. Because the cost is not just wasted potential. It's something much more dangerous. Alright, now we're entering territory most people really don't want to face. Because here's the thing. Cannabis can open doors, but if you're not grounded, it can also crack foundations. Especially when you start chasing the feeling instead of the truth. Use it too often, and something strange starts to happen. Your energy rises, third eye buzzing, crown chakra lit, but your roots, they're gone. You're floating, disconnected from your body, from the earth, from your actual life. And here's the trap. That floaty, hazy, numb vibe, it starts to feel like peace. But it's not peace. It's sedation. The stillness that doesn't heal. It just hides. You stop growing. You stop trying. You convince yourself you're spiritual when you're actually just spiritually asleep, eyes closed, incense lit. And let's be blunt. Misuse this plant and you risk more than a bad trip. You risk locking your soul in a fog of your own making. So ask yourself this honestly. If the peace only comes with a puff, is it peace? Or is it a pause button you've mistaken for progress? We're not done yet. Next, I'll show you how to actually use cannabis as a spiritual tool, if at all. So, if you're going to use this plant and use it with respect, here's the truth. It starts long before you light anything. This isn't about getting high. It's about getting clear. First, why are you reaching for it? Not in theory, I mean right now. Is it to escape or to awaken? Because intention is everything. Set it like you'd set a compass. Write it down. Say it out loud. Or just feel it in your chest. Make the space sacred. That could mean clearing the room, cleansing with incense, turning off your phone, because you can't download divine insight between TikTok swipes. Afterwards, journal. Not some essay, just the raw truth. What came up? What did you feel? What didn't make sense? This part grounds the experience. It takes the vision and makes it usable. Because if it only lives in your head, it dies there. And then return to the body. Eat something earthy. Sit on the ground. Take a walk without talking. Root down or risk getting lost in the clouds. Because cannabis is not your savior. It's not your shortcut. It's just a mirror, a key, a doorway. The plant opens the door. You still have to walk through. So here's where it all either means something or becomes just another trip. You can meditate high. You can feel divine. But if it doesn't change how you show up when life punches you in the gut, it wasn't transformation. It was entertainment. Real growth, it starts after the high fades. You don't measure awakening by how you feel in trance, but by how you treat people in traffic. Harsh? Maybe. But it's also the difference between floating and evolving. Ask yourself, did that last session soften your heart? Did it help you forgive someone? Did it make you less reactive? Or just more attached to feeling spiritual? Because here's the truth. Integration means turning insights into action. Not just journaling. Not just talking. Living it. Imagine this for a second. Every argument becomes a classroom. Every trigger becomes a mirror. Every inhale becomes a prayer, not a pattern. That's the real high, not the clouds, not the colors, the clarity. And if that sounds impossible, good. That's how you know it's worth doing. Let's be real for a second. The plant hasn't changed. Still carries wisdom. Still opens doors. But we changed the room it walks into. What was once prepared in silence is now rolled on dirty desks beside iPhones and fast food. What once summoned deities through sacred smoke now sells strawberry cheesecake edibles at gas stations. It's wild, isn't it? You've got ancient cultures fasting, praying, and offering this plant to the divine. And today we've got influencers hitting a dab pen on TikTok, captioned, "High vibes only." Cannabis didn't lose its power. We just stopped treating it like it had any. The plant didn't change. The context did. And context is everything. And here's the danger. When something sacred becomes casual, we stop listening to it. We stop respecting it. We strip it for parts. Memes, merch, mood lighting. Until it's no longer a teacher. Just a trend. But trends don't guide you. Trends don't humble you. And trends definitely don't care about your soul. So the real question is, are you using the plant? Or is the culture using you? Stick with me, because next we're going deeper than questions. So let's come full circle. Remember what we said in the beginning? This plant doesn't just mess with your mind. It opens portals. But not all portals lead to light. Yeah, now that line probably hits different. Because after everything we've explored, after the rituals, the misuse, the history, the hype, the real question isn't about cannabis. It's about you. What are you really seeking? Not in theory. Not what sounds deep. I mean, right now, in your life, what are you aching for? Peace? Clarity? Connection? Escape? Now ask yourself this honestly. Is cannabis a bridge? Or just a blindfold? Because every time you reach for it, you're casting a vote. A vote for waking up or checking out. Every puff is a choice, a step toward truth or a detour into illusion. And you get to decide. Not the culture, not the trends. You. Because the plant opens the door, but you're the one who walks through it or walks in circles. If you've made it this far, maybe something stirred inside you. And if it has, then here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not next week. Tonight. Don't reach for the plant, just for tonight. Instead, light a candle. No distractions, no background noise. Sit, breathe, feel, and ask yourself, what do I really need to feel whole? You might be surprised by what comes up. And that answer, it might be exactly what you've been trying to smoke your way into. Because let's be honest, the true spiritual journey isn't in smoke. It's in stillness. Now I want to hear from you. Ever had a moment with weed that felt spiritual? Or was it just vibes? Drop it below. No judgment. Just real talk. And if you're tired of surface-level spirituality, if you're ready to trade trends for truth, hit subscribe. Share this with someone who thinks getting high is the same as going deep. Because this is just the beginning. Smoke fades. Truth stays. I'll see you in the next one if you're ready.